Hello, Kat.
Hello, John.
How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I am quite well myself, thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Good. Great that it's great to be heard from. Yeah. I like that. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, Kat, if you had to characterize it, what is it that you would say that we, that's you and me, are doing here?
I would say, with great confidence, that we are recording a podcast.
Okay, I think that's accurate.
Thank you. The name of it is My Mistake.
Quite accurate.
And that means that you and I are going to talk about mistakes.
Let me fact check that. Yep, checks out.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
And so sometimes we talk about mistakes that we have made ourselves.
Right.
Sometimes we have people on to tell us about their mistakes.
We have done that.
We've done that. Sometimes we talk about mistakes in the news, like breaking news,
Like planes with poop.
Poop planes.
Poop
That's
planes.
a common topic.
Bison occasionally.
Sometimes we talk about bison. There's been some bison action lately in the parks.
Yeah. Oops files.
We do oops files. Sometimes we talk to Australians.
Sometimes we do that. We have we have a Dunny Dipper, or or an Ask an Aussie.
Or a shit shooter.
Right, those two.
And then sometimes we have a little from column A, a little from column B.
The old cafeteria style.
Cafeteria style. And sometimes we talk about historical mistakes, which we like to call hysterical mistorks.
I like that. I like to call them that. I'm glad
fun.
we agree that we both like to call them that.
It's fun. It's fun to say.
It is.
And so, John, I think tonight's episode is kind of a bit of a buffet. I think we're gonna go buffet style.
I like it. We're gonna get the frozen ho-hos.
We're gonna get some frozen.
That's a deep cut. I don't know if you remember that one.
It was at a buffet family restaurant that you went to as a child, and you can get frozen ho-hos.
I was in my 20s, and it was a Chinese restaurant that had buffets, and I would go with my friends after, like when we were all hungover on a Sunday after we'd gone out dancing on a Saturday. And yes, frozen ho-hos were on the menu.
Incredible. I mean, I wouldn't say no to it.
Right? I mean, do we have some content that is the auditory equivalent of a frozen ho-ho, Cat?
John, I think we do.
Oh my goodness.
I think that is a perfect way to describe what's about to happen.
If it is, I want everyone to know I had no idea. I stepped in that. I stepped in that frozen ho-ho without looking down.
I mean, what would you imagine a frozen ho-ho version of this podcast would be? Like, if you had to guess, like, what does that mean in your mind?
Well, I have to, okay, having eaten an actual frozen ho-ho, I can tell you, it might be...
You're an expert.
Right?
You're an expert in this topic.
Yeah. Analogically speaking, it might be a little hard to get into at first. Okay. That's one of the primary properties of the frozen ho-ho.
Okay,
right?
that tracks.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So you kind of got to stick with it. Be a
Very
little
good.
bit dogged in your determination to get through that hard frozen outer shell. But oh my God, Kat, once you do, the treasures to be found inside, bounteous. Frozen sponge, the way it crackles when it hits your mouth and starts to warm and melt on the tongue, there's just nothing like it.
Wow, you're really selling this.
Thank you. And
I
haven't even mentioned the creamy center yet, okay? Because when it goes from solid to, like, I don't want to say liquid because it's way more viscous than that, but still that pure sugar rush that you get when you get to the center of a frozen ho-ho. I mean, again, there's just no experience like it, Kat. So I hope I haven't set too high a bar for the stories that we're
You
going to hear.
absolutely have.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
you have.
good.
You've set me up for a failure.
Okay, that's always nice. That means I win, right? I win the
episode.
podcast if you fail?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
All
win
right.
today.
Okay, yeah.
So let's start. let's try to get into this ho-ho
Okay.
and start rolling here.
Oh,
You know, John, the Olympics are right around the corner.
I have heard about that. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, let's talk about an Olympic event, specific one that happened in 1904. We're going to talk about the marathon.
Okay.
So, John, the marathon, the modern marathon event,
Right.
was basically created for the Olympics.
Right. Yeah.
And it caught on. And people
Okay.
are like, well, this is fun. We should do this more often. And then you have the Boston Marathon after that and the Paris Marathon. But it really was the Olympics in 1896 where it first appeared.
See, this is crazy because I have heard also that this might be mythological, that the marathon originated in ancient Greece and was run by naked men.
Sure.
Yeah. But
We're talking
the
modern
modern version.
We're talking
I got
modern.
you. I got
Yeah.
you. I'm with you.
Everyone
on this.
is mostly fully clothed
Mostly.
in the modern version. In women, the women's event did not appear in the Olympics until 1984.
Wow. So 80 years.
It took a couple of years, yeah. Because you know what might happen, John? Your uterus might fall out if you
That's-
run that marathon.
I mean, uteruses are tricky things. Men have had a hard time with uteruses for a long time.
It's true. And women don't know their bodies very well. And
No.
even if they want to run a marathon, you got to stop them.
Well, Kat, their little lady brains don't really understand how things work
Exactly.
with the uteri and
Sure.
the hysteria and all that kind. You know that
So true.
the Greek word for uterus is hyster,
Right.
Right.
So hysterectomy,
hysterectomy.
getting rid of the hysteria.
Right, and hysteria, yeah, it's when you're, it's how ladies are when they go crazy, because of those uteri.
Yeah, you just can't trust the uteri.
Nope.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
I sure hope that all of our listeners understand that I'm a sarcastic man.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, well, let's see if they
We'll let
show up
them
at my door.
Exactly. You'll let us know. So in the third Olympiad, which would be 1904, it was in St. Louis.
Right?
It took place the men's marathon. It was just the marathon back then because women weren't allowed to do it.
Right.
It was on August 30th. And at the time, a marathon distance was 24 miles.
Okay. And
So it's a little longer now.
mm-hmm.
But back then, it was 24 miles. It's a nice even number,
It is. If you want to do miles, but like the Olympics
Sure.
are international.
Well,
And
truth be
coun-
told, John,
yeah,
it's a 40-kilometer race, but it was 24 miles and 1,500 yards. So now you've pressed me into being more honest, and
Okay.
you've caught me
did.
in a lie.
Well, what I was really shooting for was to explain how only the United States uses
Oh, right.
the ironically named imperial system of measurement, which was
Right.
supposed to be the British system of measurement, but the Brits now pretty much use the metric system as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just us, right? That we're still hooked up on these, hung up on these miles and
pretty much
inches
us. But Canada has this silly habit of like for certain things they still use the British system, but for most things they do use the metric system. There's a funny video if you Google Canada metric system on. If you Google it on YouTube, because I make sense. But if you search for it on YouTube, you'll find that video, and it's kind of fun.
All right, good to
Yeah,
know. Some homework for our listeners.
There you go.
And there were 32 athletes
Okay.
representing 7 nations in the race. I'm going to name off those nations
Please
now.
do.
The United States,
Right. Of course.
France, Cuba,
Cuba.
Greece,
Got it.
South Africa,
Okay.
Great Britain,
Mm-hmm.
and Canada.
Okay. Lot of English speaking going on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So of the 32 athletes that started the race,
Mm-hmm.
14 of them managed to complete it.
Okay. Just complete it. And it's the Olympics. Wow.
Yeah.
Things have changed, Kat.
Little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was in St. Louis. The organizers decided to start the marathon at 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, they'd been starting them early in the morning because in the Summer Olympics,
Oh, boy.
things get a little hot, John.
Yeah. And 3
no.
p.m., at least around here, is the hottest part of the day.
It is. It is. It is.
And when I say hot, it's 102 yesterday, Kat.
Yeah, exactly.
102.
I know. I know. So the route of this marathon,
Yeah.
to start, runners had to complete 5 laps around a stadium track,
Okay.
and then the remainder of the course was on dusty country roads,
Whoa.
and race officials were riding in vehicles ahead of and behind the athletes as they were running.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, I'm sure you can imagine on these dusty roads, these big old clunky cars were kicking up a lot of dust.
You know, Kat, when I'm running a very long distance, I find that when the air is too clear, I can see too far ahead of me. And therefore, my attention span, I'm like, oh no, I'm never going to make it this far. So you kick up a nice bunch of dust, and not only does that give me something to chew on as I'm going, I always feel like, hey, maybe the finish line is just ahead.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is an opinion.
I mean, it's an opinion, yes. I have presented it.
You did. You said it. So it's also, the temperature was recorded to be around 90 degrees at 3 p.m. at
Okay.
starting time.
Mm-hmm.
And along with the dusty back roads, they didn't actually close off the roads.
Oh.
So there were lots of, let's call them obstacles along the route,
Okay.
including cross traffic,
Sure.
big old delivery wagons, railroad tracks. You have to wait for trains.
Oh my gosh.
There were trolley cars, and some people just walking their dogs.
Right. Let me get a little context, and you probably already said this and I missed it. Where geographically is this taking place, Kat?
This is in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And this is around, just in town, just around town.
Okay. And yeah, the roads are not closed, so there's, and it's 1904?
It's 1904.
1904. So
Yeah.
could be horses, probably a lot of horses, I would imagine.
There's probably some horses in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a fair
Throw that
assumption.
into the mix.
Sure.
It's going to be some horse apples that have been left on the road.
Watch out for those apples.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting a real whole sense picture here now. I'm getting the smells, especially the smells, as well as the sights and the sounds and the taste of the dust in the air. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to happen, John.
Thank you.
So during the race, there's a runner. His name is John Lorden.
Okay, I like his first name.
He had, I knew you would.
Right.
He had actually won the 1903 Boston Marathon, so he's an experienced runner.
Sure. I mean,
For
he has had
back then,
an experience at least.
Yeah, at least one.
Mm-hmm.
Around mile 10, he became violently ill
Hmm.
and dropped out of the race.
Okay. Well, sometimes
The
you get violently ill, Kat.
Sure, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
The 1902 Boston Marathon winner, his name is Sam Meller,
Mm-hmm.
was so overcome by the dust, he became disoriented and ultimately dropped out of the race after 14 and a half miles.
Wow. Like, I want to know, were the 14 and a half miles in the right direction? Like, if he became disoriented, did he run like 7 of those miles in the wrong direction, and therefore he's like, well, F this, I'm out?
John, we're not sure.
We're not sure. We may never be, Kat.
There's no way to know.
Nope.
Another runner named William Garcia of the United States was found lying on the road along the marathon course unconscious.
Oh, dear.
With several internal injuries that had been caused by breathing the clouds of dust kicked up by the race officials' cars.
I am so glad that I went on a rant about the dust. Because I seem prescient.
Look at that. So, after 3 hours and 13 minutes, the first person to arrive at the finish line, his name was Frederick Lors.
Okay.
And it doesn't say where he was from.
Suspicious cat.
American. He's an American.
Okay.
So he's hailed. He comes running across the line. He's the winner. He gets his photo taken with Alice Roosevelt, the daughter of then President Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay.
She places a wreath around his head. It's a whole thing. Everybody's happy. And then spectators in the crowd were like, hold on a minute. That guy didn't run the whole race.
No.
And so
like he was 15 feet from the finish line the whole time, just hanging out.
I mean, here we go.
Yeah.
So turns out, John,
Yeah.
he was on the course. He was having some cramps. And he had dropped out of the race after 9 miles and hitched a ride back to the stadium in a car. Along the way, John, he was waving at spectators and other runners.
The balls, Cat. The balls on this cat.
And then, John, at mile 19, the car he was in broke down.
Okay. So I'm going to say, I want to say something here real quick.
Oh, okay.
The only
Sure.
way this guy could actually, like, where it would be like, okay, I feel like he's justified in is if he picked the car up and carried it the rest of the way. Okay, then maybe.
Well, I don't think that happened.
Okay, well, then he's out. Fred's out.
Instead, he's like, oh, I'm only about 5 or 6 miles from the finish line. I'm just going to jog on in. So he just ran the rest of the way. Didn't mention to anybody that he hadn't actually ran the whole course.
Accepted the wreath.
Oh,
yeah.
Gladly, posed for pictures.
So Max, what you said, he dropped out after 9.5.
Yeah.
And then he jogged. Let's give him the benefit of that 6 miles. So he went 15 miles. So he's 9 miles shy of the total. Yeah. That's a bit. That's very shy.
It's very shy. It's very shy.
It's so shy.
So shy.
It's bashful, Cat.
It's like, oh, you're so shy. Oh, I'm shy.
I have never heard you do that voice, and I only ever want to hear you speak in that voice from now on.
That's not gonna happen.
Okay, fine.
So after the true story comes out, and the spectators are like, this guy's full of shit. He was waving at everybody. The furious race officials confronted Lors.
Yeah.
And he admitted, he's like, yeah, I lied. I didn't really finish the whole thing. He said, listen, I didn't do the whole thing, but I was just playing a joke. This is a practical joke.
I was trolling you.
Yes. So the response to that was that the racing officials banned him for life. I mean, so meaning he wouldn't be able to compete in any more racing anywhere.
Right. Now this is 1904, and do we know the age? I hate to put you on the spot, but
no.
Frederick Lors. Do we know how old he is?
See.
Because what did people live to in 1904? Like 30, 40?
Oh well, okay. according to Wikipedia.
Uh-huh.
He was, you're going to do some math for me. So he was born in 1884.
1884. Okay.
And the race was 1904.
So that's 20 years. He was 20.
He was 20 years old.
Wow.
Sadly, John, he died at age 29.
Okay. And but now, did he sneak into any other races? Because he's clearly, maybe he changed his name to Ledric Fours instead and ran in other races in which he, for fully more than 1/3, he rode in a car.
Well, he's an interesting fella.
Okay.
So, well, let me allow me to answer your question in a roundabout way.
Okay. Be as roundabout as you wish.
So, they're like, yeah, you can't race anymore. You're kicked out of the club.
Mm-hmm.
He apologized. He was very like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm very sorry. So they said, okay, you can come back. So he was reinstated after, I think it says like 9 months or something. It was a very short punishment.
It was definitely before the next Summer Olympics.
It was definitely, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me just make sure. Sorry. So his life ban was commuted to 6 months.
I love it.
Because he was sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, Kat.
I'm
I'm sorry.
So then he would then go on to win the 1905 Boston Marathon.
Uh-huh. What kind of car was he riding in for that one, Kat?
Doesn't say.
No? Okay. No make and model, huh?
Now I'm on Lors' Wikipedia page. He was suspended a second time for participating in an unsanctioned meet at the games of the Thomas Jefferson Club at Witzel's Grove. Everybody knows about that.
I mean, come on. This is grade school stuff.
But he was reprimanded for that. He was then reinstated again, and he ran in the 1906 Chicago Marathon where he finished 4th.
Hey, Kat, can I make a quick guess? I don't know anything about this guy, right?
Sure.
I'm going to guess he's white and male.
Bingo.
Because he is definitely the exception that proves the rule that white males do not get forgiven for things that nobody else would be, right? Like that's never been a thing that happens. And the fact that he was proves that no one else was, right? He is the exception that proves the rule. Mm-hmm.
Always, yes,
Yep,
of course.
Yep, totally.
And John, he died in 1914 of pneumonia. I just thought I'd mention that.
Yowza.
Too bad. Unfortunate.
Way to kill the mood, Kat.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, back to the other runners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's see. Where did we leave off? Here we go. So,
I'm
after
guessing there was a big reset, right?
everybody go back to the start.
Back to one.
No. So, the second person to cross the finish line who wasn't a cheater, his name was Thomas Hicks.
Okay.
And he was then awarded, he was the winner. They're like, oh, you actually did run the race.
He's like,
you went.
This wreath smells like Frederick Lors. You giving me a used wreath? I won the Olympic marathon?
Yeah, he's like, this is very Lorsy.
Mm-hmm.
So he was aided, John, you'll be interested to know, he was aided by various measures to actually finish this race.
Oh, well, I mean, like, he wasn't aided by a vehicle that carried him for 9 of the miles, was he?
He wasn't.
Okay, good.
But at mile 10, 10 miles from the finish, he was ahead by 1.5 miles from the person behind him.
That's a nice lead.
But he had to be restrained from stopping and lying down by his trainers.
Why?
So he had 10 miles to go, and he just wanted to lay down.
I mean, it seems to me that's your lead. You earned it. you can burn it any way you want.
Hey, you think, but his trainer's like, no.
Okay.
Thomas, you've come too far. We're not going to let you do this.
I mean, would you be disqualified from the race if you laid down for a while? If you took a nap?
I mean, just based on what we've read so far, I can't imagine that you would be.
It seems like it's pretty loosey-goosey.
But
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And I think that maybe it was the trainers who were like, we want this guy to win.
All right.
So let's get his ass up.
So
So
the cattle
to help-
prodded him.
To help him to get more energy, John, they do the logical thing. They gave him several doses of strychnine.
I was hoping it was cocaine, but strychnine, huh?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
As you know, that's a common rat poison. Mm-hmm. And in small doses, it stimulates the nervous system.
Yeah. It'll stimulate you to die.
So they put a couple doses of strychnine in a glass. Mm-hmm. They mixed it with brandy and an egg white. Mm. They mixed that right up.
It's kind of like an old-fashioned, but...
Kinda.
Very
Close.
weird one, yeah.
But, so he chugged that down. Mm-hmm. So he continued the race, hallucinating the whole time. And he was barely able to walk for most of the rest of the course.
Kat, have you ever hallucinated?
I actually haven't,
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, speaking as someone who has,
Yeah.
the last thing I would want to be doing while hallucinating, besides operating
Running.
heavy machinery, would be running 24 miles.
In 90-degree heat.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
dusty roads.
Yeah, that would more than sort of suck.
It sounds like a bad trip, man.
Real bad trip. In every sense.
So, when he finally reached the stadium, the finish line, his support team, these guys that wouldn't let him lay down and gave him poison, they decide they're just going to carry him over the line. So they're holding him up and pretending
Wow,
that
they're
he's
weekend at
walking.
Bernie's.
They weekend at Bernie, the son of a bitch.
Wow.
And they were like, it's described here as holding him in the air while he shuffled his feet as if running. He's just like, so stupid.
Oh my God.
This is the dumbest thing. People were so stupid.
They are. But here's the thing. He was declared the winner, was he not?
Yeah, because the first guy got a ride. And this is our winner.
He got a ride too. Now for a significantly
did.
shorter period of time, but
He did.
make no mistake, a ride was given. It was a Bernie's ride.
Well, so they carried him off he's declared the winner. They carry him off the track on a stretcher. Mm-hmm. And John, he almost died, but
Wait, was it from strychnine poisoning, Kat? Because that's a wild guess, but okay.
We're not sure.
Okay.
But luckily there was 4 doctors standing by, and they treated him, and so he didn't die, but he had lost 8 pounds during the course of the marathon.
Okay, that's a lot, but I got to tell you this, Kat. Can I give
Yes,
you
tell
a little equation from 1904?
Please.
The more doctors there are, way increases the likelihood that you're going to die of something awful, like lack of blood because they've put leeches or some shit on you.
Yeah, or they've given you strychnine.
Right, exactly. As a pick-me-up.
Everybody's got an idea.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's the origin of that. They gave him strychnine as a pick-me-up, and then they had to pick him up and carry him across the finish line.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's pretty punny, even for me.
Well, we'll never know.
We won't. Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Back to the race.
Our next runner that we're
Yes.
going to talk about
Uh-huh.
is a Cuban man
Okay.
named, we're going to say Adrian Carvajal.
Okay.
We're just going to go with that,
Sure.
John.
Adrian C.
He was a postman in his native land of Cuba.
Right?
He joined the marathon pretty last minute.
Okay.
John, he was gambling in New Orleans, and he lost all of his money, so he had to hitchhike to St. Louis.
It's like, I got to run home anyway, so let's just make some history on this.
Absolutely. And he didn't have any running clothes with him, so he just cut the legs off his pants,
Okay.
turned them into shorts, and he ran in street clothes.
Why not? I mean,
Why not?
honestly, like, how specialized were the sporting clothes back then? I have to wonder.
I mean, they weren't,
They didn't have elastic. They didn't have nylon. Like, everything had to be tied to your body, basically.
I don't see any photos, but there must be photos of these knuckleheads running. I mean,
I'm
probably
picturing
like...
a big leather belt that you're wearing while you're running.
Actually, okay, there's this is a photo from this race.
Okay.
The starting line. Mm-hmm. And it looks like what we would recognize today as athletic wear.
Really?
So shorts, tank tops, some have T-shirts, but there's mostly like tank tops and sleeveless shirts. They have big numbers on them. This looks like,
Give me shoes, though. Give me shoes,
Yeah,
Kat.
they
What are
look
we
very
looking at?
leathery.
Big honking leather shoes
They
with
look
big
very leathery.
leather soles, nails in them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nails in them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's how they used to make
course.
shoes
Of course.
before they had these space age polymers and adhesives, Kat.
Of course. Mm-hmm. So our friend Adrian,
Yep.
he hitches a ride to St. Louis,
Okay.
adjusts his pants into shorts, and makes it just in time.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
He invented the other thing that Adrian Carvalho is famous for is the invention of jorts.
He made jorts.
He made jorts.
That's how we remember him today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's the jorts guy.
And did you say Avrian or Adrian?
Adrian?
Adrian. Okay.
Adrian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know two guys named Adrian.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Neither of them are him. It's okay.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
I'd be really shocked if you knew this guy, John.
I mean, me too. Honestly.
So
Either he got really old or I'm older than I look. And I look pretty old. Go ahead.
No comment. So he's got to hitch his way to St. Louis, and in the process of doing that, he hadn't eaten in 40 hours prior.
He hadn't eaten in 40 hours and is going to run 24 miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he saw a spectator was eating a couple of peaches. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Hey, man, can you hook a brother up with those peaches?" Mm. And the spectator was like, "No." So then Adrian stole the peaches and ran away.
What are you going to do? Catch me?
Exactly.
That's my Cuban accent, apparently.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Later on, on the route, he came across an orchard.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh, this is great. I'll pick some apples." So he picks a couple apples. Turns out, John, they were rotten.
Oh boy.
And they gave him really bad stomach cramps. Mm-hmm. So, as they call back to what we talked about earlier, he laid down and took a nap.
Okay. I don't think that should be grounds for disqualification. I really don't. Yeah.
It's you'll be happy to hear then that he ended up coming in fourth place.
Hey, sometimes you need a nap, right? Like I'm telling you, listen. Have you ever you're bulling through something? You're like, I'm gonna work through it. I know I'm breaking your rhythm totally.
No, this is good.
You're like, I'm not gonna stop till I finish. But then you're like, wait a minute. Some of this requires some important. I just think of writing code, and there's a point there's a diminishing return that happens over time where you start writing really bad code because you stop being able to follow the logic.
Yes.
So I think, a 20-minute power nap is the way to go.
Right.
On a marathon. If I could, and I don't see, it's your race, it's your race. You
Do
run
whatever
your
you
race.
want.
Yeah. Your race, your pace.
Exactly.
If you have a 5-mile lead on the guy behind you, nap it up. That guy didn't take a nap. He's clearly operating at the edges of his capabilities. So even if you nap right up until he's there, you're going to beat him because you had a nap and he didn't.
And that's how he chose to spend his time.
That's right.
Running his race.
That's
he gets
right.
to do that.
That's right. I am
It's not like he
available for
jumped-
coaching.
It's not like he jumped in a car.
No.
He just took a nap.
He took a nap. Recharge.
So yeah, fourth place, pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take it. Fourth place, a nap and some fresh fruit. And some
Hell
not
yeah.
so fresh fruit.
And not so fresh, right?
Some stolen fruit. Hot fruit.
Let's see. The South African entrants, Len and Jan. I'm just going to give you their first names because I respect them too much to try to pronounce their last names.
Fair. I'm guessing it's Jan, but I'm going to go with Jan. It's fine.
We're going with Jan,
All
John.
right. Fine.
So Len and Jan, they finished 9th and 12th, respectively.
Okay.
And this was a great disappointment because observers were sure that Len could have done better if he had not been chased nearly a mile off course by wild dogs.
I'm like, you said chased, and I'm like, okay, cops or no, it's but yet wild dogs. Wild dog. He ran an extra mile.
He did.
Yeah, to not get eaten by dogs. Now, if only those dogs had been pointed in the correct direction, and he could, it would have just. Think of what an inspiration that would be,
Oh, that would have been good.
right? I mean, I just want wild dogs, trained wild dogs, if that's the thing, chasing me the entire. That's the only way I'm ever going to finish a marathon, Cat. Okay,
If you're being chased
right, by wild dogs.
by wild dogs. John, let's talk about dehydration.
Let's talk about it.
So, on this course, there was only 2 sources of water for the competitors
Right.
to get water, to hydrate, if you
That's insane.
will. It is. There is a water tower at mile 6.
Did you have to climb it?
We're not sure.
Okay. Fair.
And then there is a water well at about the halfway mark,
So
about 12 miles in.
Right. 6 miles and 12 miles you have water, and the last 12 miles, nada.
Nada.
You got to steal peaches from somebody at the side to get any kind of hydration at all.
Yes, you do.
Right? Okay.
So the chief organizer of the Olympics and this event, his name is James Edward Sullivan.
Sure.
He was the one responsible for setting up the course.
Got it. So he was the one who made it go on city streets and
Yeah, all that.
why didn't they just do like a lot more laps than 5 on the track at the it does I guess I don't.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think they probably were mimicking. They wanted to make it be like the Greek marathon because
Maybe.
people in that era there was a lot of classical era worship. So like the fact that it was cross country rather than on a track makes sense. But it would have been a lot safer for these fools, and also you wouldn't have had a guy riding on a car.
No.
It would have been much
Or
more obvious around a track.
Or wild dogs,
Or
probably.
right? I mean,
We don't know.
maybe, but a lot more people than it would. More people than one would have had to deal with the wild dogs had they.
That's
appeared
true.
on the
It would have
track.
been a fair, more even playing field. So this dude,
Yeah.
James Edward Sullivan,
Right.
he decided only 2 water sources along the 24 miles. He decided we're going to start at 3 p.m.
So you're saying he's a genius?
He decided, we're going to run on some dusty roads. So the reason that people think there was not a lot of water available was because this dummy wanted to do an experiment on hydration.
OMG. This is human experimentation. Like he purposely withheld water to see what would happen.
Purposeful dehydration is exactly the term he used. He
My
was
Atlanta.
conducting research on purposeful dehydration. This, combined with poor officiating, saw the marathon end with the worst ratio of finishers to starters and the slowest winning time, which was exactly 29 minutes slower than the second slowest winning time.
It still took
John,
like almost 120 years for people to figure out that you should drink more water.
yeah, that's also true. It took him a minute. Mm-hmm. And yeah, John, those are the highlights from the 1904 men's marathon.
Wow. I'm trying to think, like, how dry, you know the song, How Dry I Am. I feel like that song is old enough to have been sung by the runners. And it would be very appropriate for them to have been singing that.
Yeah, maybe.
God, that's amazing. What was the number of participants versus entrants again, or of finishers?
32 men started the race.
Yeah.
14 finished it.
Wow.
Completed it, I should say.
Yeah. So less than half finished at all, like completed it at all.
Yeah. They just stopped. I mean, you know, we talked about some guys were just passed out. Some guy was found almost dying on the side of the road.
I'm really amazed that nobody did die.
You know what?
Yeah.
It is kind of a miracle that nobody died.
Yeah. So I feel like this Sullivan guy, I feel like he had to have been into eugenics, right? Like he's one of these guys. He's like,
oh, no.
We're gonna see if the human spirit can actually overcome like complete desiccation. Like how important is water really? Maybe if we withhold water from these athletes, they'll actually be better.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I see him as a snake oil salesman and a eugenicist, and he just is filling all these like fun historical villain.
Of course.
Roles.
I mean,
for me.
he does have a pretty big mustache, so he may have twirled it. We don't know.
Hey, now I have a mustache that I occasionally twirl.
Oh no!
I take offense at that.
No.
I take offense at that. Ken.
Yeah, you probably should.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he would go on to this. You know, he was also involved in the 1912 Olympics, Summer Olympics.
What did he withhold from them then? Like eyesight, or food?
Well, no.
So
this guy's awesome. The hits keep coming. So in 1912 Summer Olympics, female divers and swimmers were allowed.
Oh, how
Finally.
progressive!
But our buddy Sullivan, on behalf of the United States Olympic Committee, barred American women from participating, even though they were capable women willing to participate.
Well, I mean, it was for their own good, really, and the good of their husbands. Because how could a man handle being married to a woman who might be a better athlete than he is?
That's very true.
And I mean, they had husbands. They just gave them to you at 13 in those days.
And guess what else he did? Let's see. American athlete of Indian origin, Jim Thorpe. I'm reading this from Wikipedia. Competed in the 1912 games and won gold medals in the pentathlon and the decathlon.
Yep.
However, those medals were stripped by the AAU, an association started by Sullivan, and the USOC, with Sullivan playing a prominent role in the decision following reports that Thorpe had previously played semi-professional baseball. There's evidence that the AAU was aware of Thorpe's status before the games and allowed him to compete, only to rescind his medals afterward.
Just to humiliate him, because he was a Native American. Yeah.
And because he had played semi-professional baseball, they're like, yeah, you can't win at pentathlon and decathlon. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, well, within my lifetime, Kat, it was the Olympics were very much, you were not allowed to have played professional sports of any kind. Of
any kind.
Yeah, that changed with like the dream team.
Hell yeah, it did.
The hockey, both the hockey team and the basketball team that was made up of like the most amazing athletes in the world.
Professional athletes. 100%.
Who destroyed. Yeah.
But don't worry, Jim Thorpe's medals were posthumously restored to him in 1983 and presented to his children in a solemn ceremony. Fuck you, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, and your AAU. Yeah, even more. Like he definitely a
AAU.
eugenicist. Definitely a eugenicist. There's
Yeah, he probably
yep,
was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's that.
That's that. That's the story of the
That's
dry
the story.
marathon of 1904.
That's right. That's it.
Kat, what's have you ever participated in an organized run of any kind?
I have.
Yeah?
I've done a couple 5Ks. I've done some triathlons which incorporate running. And I hate it. I hate every second of it. It's the worst.
I've never enjoyed running. I much prefer riding a bicycle. I did my greatest achievement on a bicycle is that I once rode 100 miles in a day, and I did so right next to your lovely wife Leah, to whom you are married.
You did that. You did that.
I did. She did that. I did that. We did that together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very exciting day.
Yep, it was. I was very pleased with myself, and I feel like I never have to try that hard to do anything else ever again. Yeah. That's. I mean, I distinctly remember we composed a song on the road, and because I was having some issues with my saddle, which was not the best in the world, and it was sung to the tune of "This Girl Is on Fire" by, I believe it was Katy Perry. Is that Katy Perry?
No, that's
who did that?
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. Oh, okay. Very different from Katy Perry.
Very different.
Yeah. No, but the lyrics went. I would sing, "My ass is on fire, but Leah's just tired."
Can you sing it for us?
My ass is on fire, but Leah's just tired.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. That was how that went, and I hope that she hears that and is made joyful over it.
I will sing that to her later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a thing that happened.
It is. It is a thing that happened. I love that you looked that up and found all the research and told us about it. I had no idea that this was going to be an hysterical mistork at the outset.
Didn't.
And I am always surprised hysterical mistork is like a great thing.
It's the best thing.
It's a gift that we give the other one when we do them.
To each other.
To each other.
And I will say shout out to Wikipedia.
Word.
And to the Smithsonian Magazine. And I actually originally first heard about this story on good old Instagram. Let me see. Oh, it's gone.
Oh dear.
Come on.
That is the nature of the gram.
Here we go.
The gram giveth and the gram taketh away.
This account is called History Harpy. So I don't know if they do more of this type of stuff, but we'll be following them and maybe
stealing from them
more ideas.
I love that. I love that for us.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you to all those sources and just people back then they didn't know any better. They thought what they were doing was right and they tried really hard, but looking back on it, it's so ridiculous. It's like so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Everything about this is completely ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Well, what are you gonna do? It's those are the oldie times, and that's how stuff went.
So there's actually a picture that I'm gonna send you.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
It's the picture of Thomas Hicks being, after he's consumed the strychnine, the egg whites, and the brandy, being Weekend at Bernie'd across the finish
I can't wait to see that. We might have to. Who am I kidding? No, never mind. Everybody look that up on your own.
I love that this exists.
That someone chose to.
John, he looks like a dead man.
I believe it. I mean, is it full on Weekend at Bernie's? Oh wait, here.
He definitely looks like he's on his feet. The shuffling may not have happened yet, or may not be happening
he's
yet.
not fully suspended.
But like the look on these guys' faces, like, no, this guy's alive. No, he's alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want you to know that even with every single thing that I have on my computer to prevent like annoyances, I got like 17 pop-ups when I opened this page. That's okay, because it's worth it. Because look at these guys.
It's the Smithsonian mag. It's not like some weird,
I mean, they wanted to track my location, and it is.
Boy.
I mean, yeah. Okay, sorry, Smithsonian, but no diggity.
No diggity?
But this is, it's amazing. Two of their faces are in focus, and the central guy, who is the runner, just wow. He looks dead.
He looks like a zombie.
Yeah, he's a corpse for sure. Well, Kat, I also do have some weird news. If we
great.
wanted to,
I love weird news, John.
I thought, this is in no way a filler. It's just because there's some particularly good stuff. And you know that I'm a big fan of a particular podcast called Knowledge Fight.
Yes.
And I've been sort of a person who has, what do you call it? I've been evangelizing about this podcast because I love it, because I could never in a million years listen to a podcast by the likes of like Alex Jones.
Sure.
I could never listen to Alex Jones himself, but it's so great to listen to somebody else play Alex Jones clips and then just rip him to shreds with facts and receipts and all kinds of amazing goodness.
That does sound fun.
Yeah. So the title of this week's roundup in the Salt Lake City Weekly, which we like to use as a source, is New World Order. So I just instantly was like, okay, well, I gotta check this out. So let's just take that first one, the New World Order.
Let's do it.
And let's make it famous. A 2-person crew from Drone Up, a commercial drone services company partnering with Walmart in Florida, was demonstrating the delivery service on June 26th in the overlook at Lake Louisa neighborhood of Lake County when they heard a loud pop. Click Orlando reported. They believed what they had heard was a gunshot, so the crew and the drone hightailed it back to Walmart, where sheriff's deputies met them. The drone had a bullet hole in its payload area, right? Officers returned to the neighborhood where they discovered 72-year-old Dennis Wynn. Wynn told them he had been working on his swimming pool pump when the drone flew over. He shot it with a 9mm handgun because he suspected drones had been surveilling him in the past. As he was arrested, he shouted to a neighbor that he was being taken into custody for shooting a drone. Wynn faces multiple charges. The drone sustained about $2,500 in damage.
Whoa.
I didn't even know. I mean, other than the kind of drones that they use to shoot movies and stuff, I didn't, or to drop bombs on unsuspecting people in refugee camps. I didn't think that they were that expensive.
I mean, for it to be damaged that much, that sounds like just like a brand new drone.
Pretty much.
That's what I would
totaled?
expect to. Yeah, exactly. Is that a totaled drone?
Yeah, and I want to say, as an anti-hero, this guy's name couldn't be less accurate. His last name is Wynn, with two N's, but nonetheless.
No, he did not win that day.
Yeah,
Wow.
I actually, this is something I don't know. I would be very interested if any of our mistakers have had issues with drones. Because it's becoming more and more of a thing. At one point, a couple summers ago, we had a drone that was flying over our yard, and just would sit there over our yard, and I'm assuming it was several other yards too because it was high up. Yeah. But I was like, what can I do about this? Because I was like, what I really wanted to do was build a signal jammer that would cause the thing to fall out of the sky, because I really don't want you flying over my backyard and with a camera and all that. And I found out that it's first of all, you have to fly a drone, you have to register it, and you have to be essentially almost a registered pilot.
Yeah, you have to have a drone pilot's license.
Right.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah. And if you are found to be interfering with a drone, even if it's over your property, it can be a federal crime because it's
I
under
didn't know
the FAA. So if you shoot a drone out of the air, you can be charged with federal charges for
Shit.
interfering with an aircraft. Crazy,
Oh,
right?
God.
Yeah. So
That is crazy.
yeah, it was 2,500 in damage. It doesn't say what he was charged with, or if he was charged even. Oh, he faces multiple charges. It says, yeah, but it doesn't say what. I may want to follow up on that. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
But Kat, if a mistaker out there does have a story they want to tell about a drone where maybe they were flying a drone or a drone was bothering them, where might they how might they relate that story to us?
Oh, John, I'm so glad you asked.
Me too.
They can send that story to our email address.
Mm-hmm.
It's mymistakepodcast@gmail.com.
It is indeed.
We're also on the Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You can DM us. You can message us.
For sure.
Is that
That's
my
at
mistake?
My Mistake 17.
17, right? Which makes sense.
It does. Sure. Why not? Hey, we don't have 6 numbers. If you have 6 numbers, then you're fake. But we're
Got
real.
it.
We're just
Oh,
17.
We're real.
Right. We're real 17. Indeed.
Really
Really.
17.
Yeah. Well, no.
We're also on the Insta.
We are.
And is that My Mistake Podcast?
That is My Mistake Podcast. Yes. It is. And then we're on the Book of Face as well, if you're an older
sure.
listener like myself. And that is My Mistake, the podcast, is our page there. We have not
That's great.
updated that in several minutes. But there are some things there. If maybe you're a person who's listened to our podcast and you've never looked us up, there is actual video of us.
That's true.
Yeah, that is on there from a while back, but we still look mostly the same.
Yeah, basically the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. We have an entire our it was our 200th episode, I think. No, not our 200th. 100th episode, I believe.
Yeah.
We have fully available on video. You can
Yes.
watch that. We had Alicia Skye and Patty Lynn
We
were
did
our
it
guests.
live. We were chatting it up
Yeah.
live. It was really fun.
Yeah, tell me if I look like what you pictured when you heard my voice, and Kat too, but mostly me.
That's really what John really cares about.
Totally. I mean, it's I have heard that the new way to identify yourself as a narcissist is to tell people that you have a podcast. So,
Yeah,
there
that
you go.
makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, I think. How many podcasts do you have, Kat?
So if people wanted to send us some actual mail, we have a way for people to do that.
Okay. And what is that way?
Well, let me tell you.
Okay, please do.
Now, speaking of other podcasts, you might be confused by this, but you're gonna have to send it to SNOP PO Box. 6732 Burbank, California 91510.
By the way, SNOP stands for Snot, the name of our podcast.
Exactly. Just to clear that up. Send us something, drop us a line, as they say. Drop a postcard in the old mailbox there. Send us a package if you'd like.
Nothing ticking.
No, nothing alive, nothing ticking,
Right.
nothing perishable.
Please.
But yeah, if you're so inclined, you can do that as well.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
That'd be fun, right?
Right. I love it. So what do you think? Do I delve into the weird news one more time, or do we just call it there?
Is there like a really good one?
I don't know. I haven't read them, Kat.
All right, let's John, let's spin the wheel. Let's see what we got.
All right, let's try one. Okay.
Let's roll the dice, as they say.
Right. This is under the title "News That Sounds Like a Joke." Okay.
Perfect. Okay, feeling good so far.
Kat, you know what's brown and sounds like a bell?
Oh boy.
Dung.
Okay.
There we go. On June 24th, in a federal by-election
June 24th was my wife's birthday. Go ahead.
Oh, I love it. Happy belated, but I wished her on the day,
did,
so
you
I'm
did,
not
you're
even
good.
worried about it.
You're
Don't
fine,
you don't have to shame me.
You're fine.
On June 24th, in a federal by-election in Toronto, Canada.
Oh,
Go figure. This is very much tying
On
in.
topic.
I don't know what by-election means. By-election. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe it's a misprint. I don't know. Anyway, candidate Félix Antoine Hamel, 45, made history. He received 0 votes in the election.
Oh, no.
The CBC reported that Hamel was approached by a friend to add his name to the ballot, one of the longest in Canadian history, as part of a protest against Canada's electoral system. Well, I am the true unity candidate, Hamel said. Everyone agrees not to vote for me.
That's adorable.
I think so, too.
That's cute.
Hamel couldn't even vote for himself, as he is from Montreal, not Toronto.
What is happening?
I am one of the last people that would be expected to make Canadian history in any way, the musician said. I feel like Hamel has sent us off on a good note.
I like this guy.
I do too. I would vote for him, but then I would mess everything up.
Yeah, you ruin the whole thing.
I would be that person who gives you the 70th like on your post. You're like, oh, I messed it up. It was 69. It was perfect. Yeah.
Ruined it.
Yep. Well, cool. I mean, Kat, thank you so much for telling me about the 1904 Men's Olympic Marathon that took place in St. Louis, Missouri.
You're welcome. Thank you for being such a good listener and participant.
By good listener, you mean person who interrupted you constantly and said inane things, and I love you for that.
I said and participant.
Yay! Oh,
Yeah, it was
all right.
fun. That was a fun one.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Good.
Yep. Awesome.
Let's see. Well, we'll know. We'll know for sure if it passed the Jill test.
If Jill has listened to an Hysterical Mistork, then it's definitely a good one. If she's not snoozed out at this point.
Right.
I think
And then she lets us know after. She's like, I listened to it. It was fine.
It was fine, but I had to learn some stuff. But what would you learn that wasn't hilarious? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
She'll let us know.
Yeah, I guess so. Let us know, Jill. Let us know, everybody who wants to let us know.
Everybody. We should just start listing all of our regular listeners. Okay. So we got Jill, we got Amber.
Mm-hmm.
We got Katie.
We got Laura.
We got Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Laura.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
All right. Well, listen.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody. Write us an email. Let us know who you are, because we'll say your name on the air if you want.
We will, as much as you want.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, not as much.
I mean, maybe I'm going to walk that back.
Okay.
A couple times.
Okay. I'm picturing a whole podcast where we're just like, Jill,
Reading
Jill,
names.
Jill, 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 Jill. It's a Malkovich moment. Oh, cat.
Oh, John.
My cat.
Johnny,
FMP.
John. FMP, dude.
FMP, dude.
Dude.
FMP. Get some space.
Some space. Dive. To swim.
To swim this space. You need some space to swim.
Some space.
Space.